Hi everybody, welcome back. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to combine natural language processing with Plotly and Dash to create this beautiful dashboard that analyzes or that does a natural language processing sentiment analysis on different tweets from Twitter. So in this case, the user can put any term they want to search on Twitter. So we'll put here the term, let's say hate, and enter, and you'll see that it will spit out all the tweets with this term in it inside a Dash data table, and it will give you an analysis, a sentiment analysis using TextBlob of subjectivity scores and polarity scores. The higher the subjectivity, or the closer it is to 1, the more subjective the tweet, meaning it's more of an opinion and less factual. And the polarity is really a sentiment. Is it a positive or is it negative? If it's a more positive sentiment, it's closer to 1. If it's a more negative sentiment, it's closer to -1. So obviously, tweets with the term hate in them are more likely to be negative tweets compared to maybe tweets with the word love or, let's say, beautiful in them will probably be a more positive sentiment polarity. So we're going to build this app together, and it's going to be fairly easy. I'm going to explain everything to you, but if you have any questions in the comments under the video, feel free to ask them. First things first, to follow along, I would click on this link under the video into my GitHub, go into the NLP folder, and then go into the Python code that I'm using for this video that you can just download to your computer if you want and use it as well. So once you have that, we'll go into the code. This is what you're going to see. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to unhashtag from line 37 to 49. I'm going to bring it back into the app, and then this will exit. So I'm not going to run the whole app. I'm just going to run up to here, all the beginning, up to 49, because first I want to show you how to, the function I'm using to clean the tweets, how to establish a connection to the Twitter API, and then how to clean the tweets and do a sentiment analysis on them. And we will just print this information here inside the terminal. And once you understand how to do that, I'll show you how to pull all of this into Dash. Okay, so let's get started. These are all the Python libraries that I'm using for this app. Dash for this app, Dash Bootstrap to do some styling, Plotly for the graphing, and then Tweepy and TextBlob and regex for all the tweets and the text and the analysis. Especially TextBlob, which is doing the sentiment analysis. Here I put my API information, my Twitter API information inside this authentication data, just so not the whole world will be able to see all my token and secrets. And it's just right here. See, I'm pulling the first column and the first row for the consumer key, the second column with the first row for the consumer secret, and so on and so on. But if you're just building the app for yourself, you can just put all the information inside right here and directly authenticate your connection to the Twitter API like this. So you really don't need this. You can take this out and you can just use this, but put your information in here. I'm not going to go into how to create these consumer secrets and keys. There's many videos and on YouTube on this and articles. I did this in about 4 minutes. So just Google how to create a Twitter developer account and connect to an API, right? Consumer key, and it'll show you how to do it. Okay, so once you've connected to your Twitter API, now we're going to use this section to use the Twitter API to search tweets based on a search and a certain term in a certain language, English, and up to 20 tweets. And then we're going to print them out, clean them, and do some sentiment analysis. So once I pull, this is a Tweepy API. I'm using the search tweets method, and I'll give you this link under the video because I want you to do to know how to do many more things. I'm just showing you one method here, but here's the documentation where you can do many more things with the Twitter API. So this is a search tweets, and it has all these parameters, and they explain these parameters here. And we're going to use the Q, which is the search query string, right? You have to declare what you want to search. So in this case, love, or maybe I can search something like US elections that are going on right now, and we'll run the app in a second. Language English, 20 tweets, right? So this is going to create, if you go here and then you go into Twitter's documentation standard API, it will take you here, and you'll see here search tweets, and it'll give you, where is it? I'll give you the link under, I think it's right here, search tweets. I'll give you the link under the video, but this is the link I want to show you. This will give you an example. See, this is the standard search API, and it'll give you an example right here of what is the result. So you can print out here, we are printing out for every tweet inside this dictionary of a list of 20 dictionaries, a list of 20 tweets. For every tweet, we want to pull the text and the retweet count, and you can see that because you can see it's a dictionary which is a bunch of tweets, and we're going to pull the text, and we can pull everything else. We can pull in entities and metadata, but I'm just pulling the text and the retweet count. Where is the retweet? Right here. Retweet count. I'm going to pull this as well. Okay. So let's even do that before we even clean and do anything else, and see what happens for US elections. Let's run this app. Now we're not cleaning anything. We're not doing any analysis. We're just pulling 20 tweets with US elections. There we go. 20 tweets. This one is a retweet. Steve Vladek. Obviously, we don't know yet what the House is going to look like. But if the Republicans end with the control by 7, blah, 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 blah. And this is 170 retweets, right? The retweet count. This one has 1,800 retweet counts. And this one has 0 and 0 and so on and so on. So you have a text and then a retweet count. Simple. Now we're going to bring this back, and we're going to use a clean tweets function that is actually not mine. I took this function from the web, from a Medium article. I forgot to note it down, and then I couldn't find it anymore, so I'm sorry, but this is not my function. But what you're doing here is you're taking a tweet, and then you're cleaning the text, the tweet, from like email accounts or different HTTPs and line breaks and so on and so on. So we're going to clean the tweet, well, especially the tweet text, right? And then we are also going to use TextBlob. We're going to use the clean tweet inside TextBlob to run a sentiment analysis on it, pulling subjectivity and polarity. Now, where is this coming from? This is right here. I'll share this link with you. This is a quick start for a tutorial for TextBlob, and it'll show you, if you go down, that with TextBlob you can do many different things. This is really it's used for common natural language processing tasks, such as sentiment analysis or tagging and noun phrase. So you can see how all the different things: tokenization you can do, lemmatization, word count, word net integration. We're just going to do the sentiment analysis. And if you read this short, pretty paragraph, it says the sentiment and testimonial sentiment has two different, arguments: polarity and subjectivity. And here it explains polarity is between -1 to 1, and subjectivity is 0 to 1, right? So this is exactly what I did. I put the text inside the text blob. You can see here, this is the clean text. And then I did dot sentiment to call the sentiment on it. And then inside the sentiment, there's two things, subjectivity and polarity, and that is what I pulled, right? So here we have a subjectivity score, and here we have a polarity score for this specific tweet inside the for loop. And then I print it out. So let's see what happens for US elections. We'll see. We'll start from the top. So this is a tweet text. It has 1,100 retweets. Subjectivity is in the middle, 0.4, so very close to 0.5. It's not very subjective, and it's not very objective. It's in the middle, and it's more positive sentiment because it's between -1 to 1, so it's probably in the middle. Look at this one. This is also close to subjective, non-subjective. It's kind of in the middle. There's nothing special. It's not like a very strong opinion or very strong facts. It's just in the middle. Let's take another example here that is clear. Take this, for example. Subjectivity is 0.7. So this is very close to 1. And it says only the deniers will push for change. So this text blob is identifying this as a text, a string, that doesn't have any really facts in it. It's more of an opinion. So the subjectivity is pretty high. And it's ranking it between more positive than negative, but it's really close to 0. So it's hard to say. That's it. Let's take one last example. Things that will make it clearer. I don't know. Let's put Kanye West. He's been in the news a lot lately. Let's see what Twitter has to say about him. 0, 0, so nothing very polarizing. This one is a very short tweet. For some reason it's more subjective, I guess because of the word entrepreneur, positive. 0.7 is very positive sentiment and relatively subjective. Just played all day, Kanye West, so help me God, good music. Probably good. It has a lot of weight into this analysis of 0.7. And here's more of a negative one. Meltdown, feels like watching Trump meltdown, blah, 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 blah. So a little bit closer to negative. So this is the analysis that we're doing with TextBlob, and after we cleaned the tweets. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to hashtag this out because we don't need this. I want this to become an app. So not only in the terminal, but I want to put this on the web so other people can use it, and the user can actually change the query. So instead of me going in here and saying Kanye or US elections or saying give me tweets with love or hate, then I want the user to do that. So for that we need dash, which is right here. Here we instantiate the app, we start the app, or at least the dash class, and then we create the layout. Now the layout is going to give you the layout tells the app what the user is going to see on the page. Everything you put in the layout will usually display on the page. So in this case, we want to display a title and a smaller title, right? Like you have here, the title with H1 and then HTML H4, or the smaller title centered in the middle. And then we'll, in HTML center, we'll put whatever is in here. We're going to put this in the center of the page, and this is a DCC input, this input box. So DCC input, type text. It's not an integer, it's not an email, it's not a password, it's a text type in the input box. Placeholder is going to be this. So if you erase this, you'll see the placeholder. Value will be equal to love when you first load the app. The value will be equal to love. I'm just going to load it right now. refresh. 1 second. Load. And now if you refresh, oh, I don't think I saved it. Let me save it. Okay. Now you see it's love, and these are the two graphs. So we have the DCC input. Debounce true just means that the app is going to read what is inside the input only after I click enter, or after I move the mouse and click it outside of the input. And then we have a row divided into two separate column components, 6 columns to the left, or half of this content will be to the left, and the other half is the right. That's how you see one graph to the left, one graph to the right, and then an empty div where we are going to put our table. So everything, most of the things here are empty. This figure is empty, this figure is empty, and this table is empty. But I'm going to hashtag out the callback so you can see for a second. If you do that, you'll notice that the callback is what connects all the components together. If I don't have the callback, I just have the layout, a basic layout with title and some inputs, but nothing. If I change the input, it doesn't update anything, right? It doesn't change anything because there is no callback that connects between the components. In this case, in the layout, you can see the app layout. We only have a row with empty figures and an empty children where we are going to put our data table. So for that, we need the callback. So here's the callback. And this is the last part and very important part. So we take the input, because the only input we need from the app or from the user is the value of the user search. What is a user search? This is the object that pertains to the input. So the value of the user search is love. If the user changes it to whatever, hate, then now this is going to be hate and this will be hate, right? The component, the callback function argument refers to the component property of the input, in this case value. So we have one input, so we have one argument, and then it's going to take this search term, and in the first line of code you see here, it's doing what we did above. The same thing. Everything we did here between line 37 to 49, it's pretty much doing that right now inside the app in the back end. It's calling the search tweets query from the Tweepy API. Now the search term is going to be the term that is pulled from the input, right? So if whatever the user chose, if user put here in the input, they put here US elections, then all of this will be copied into here, and then this will be this, like that. Well, with as a string, right? That's how it looks like. So that's how you create that interactivity. Language English, count 20. I'm creating empty lists here because I'm going to create a list of subjectivity scores and polarity scores and clean tweets, because I'm going to put everything inside a dash data table. So here, as you can recall, on line 87, we have, oh, I forgot to save this. Okay, now I saved it. Okay, on line 87, we're cleaning the tweets. We're using the clean tweets function for every tweet inside the list of tweets. We're going to take the tweet text, and we're going to clean it, and then we're taking the clean tweet, and we're going to use TextBlob to show us the subjectivity score of the sentiment analysis. And for every subjectivity score for every tweet, we're just going to put this inside the subjectivity score list. So at the end, when the for loop is done, we'll have a full list of subjectivity scores for every single tweet. So 20 different subjectivity scores. And we're doing the exact same thing with a polarity, pulling the polarity, creating a polarity score list, and also creating a clean tweets list from all the clean tweets. We're just going to calculate the average subjectivity and average polarity from the list that we created. This is how we're going to create this horizontal line, and then we put everything inside a data table. As you can see here, very simple. We're creating a list comprehension where we're going to say for T, or for tweet, in the clean tweets list, just create a dictionary with the same key name and the tweet text. So then we're going to take this list of 20 dictionaries and just put this as the data property inside the dash data table. And this is how we create the dash data table. Now, I'm not going to go very deep into the graph objects in Plotly, because there's very good Plotly documentation on it, but we're using these two sections of code to create this bar chart of subjectivity and this bar chart of polarity. Let's make it a little bit bigger so you can see. This subjectivity score, it just displays all the subjectivity scores for the 20 tweets, and you can see we use the word love. So most likely, as you can see here, tweets with the term love in them have a high subjectivity because it's usually people expressing their opinion, and it's less factual. And the mean subjectivity here, it's hard to see, is 0.58. Yeah. And polarity score also pretty positive sentiment with a mean of 0.39, which between polarity is between -1 to 1, so 0.39 is relatively positive. So if we go back, this is how we're creating these graphs. And this right here, we're adding this horizontal line. As you can see, this is how we're creating these horizontal lines that you can see on both graphs. Okay, and that's it. Once we have the final table, the final two bar charts, fig subjectivity, fig polarity, we just return these three objects in the same order of the outputs. We have three outputs. So the first object, the table, is assigned to the children of the output table. Now what's the children of the output table? Right here. So this is where the table is going to go, which, as you can see in the layout, is under these two graph components. And then these two graph components, the figure of the subjectivity figure component and the figure of the polarity figure component, both of here, these will be assigned these next two objects. Cool, huh? It's really nice how you can build very flexible data apps with Dash and include any type of Python library. In this case, it was Tweepy and TextBlob with some natural language processing. If you like this video and you want me to create more videos that are around natural language processing, let me know in the comments below. If you want a different type of video, also let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to sign up or subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on your notifications so you can be notified when I create new videos. Also, I have Patreon, which is how I run this channel. It's fully supported by community members like you. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your interest in learning Dash and Plotly. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Remember, we're better together, so help each other out.